If you've been following along with us, then you've just seen us build this door. And if you've been following even longer, then you've seen us build this one. And this one right here is ready to go. It's ready for trim. This one is still waiting on hardware stuff to come in. I definitely don't want to put any cheap trim on this setup here. I spent a lot of time building this door. We need to trim this out. We need to do it where it's fitting to the quality of this door. I'm not going to be using lumberyard junk. I'm not going to be using Home Depot or Lowe's junk. So I'm going to show you guys what I've come up with in the combination of moldings that we're going to use to accomplish this install. We've got a 1x4 Windsor beaded casing ripped down. The reason we rip it down is because 1x4 is 3.5 inches. Then if you add this piece on, it kind of makes the moldings too fat for a 6'8" door like this. So there's a lot that goes into the proportions of these. If you want to learn more about that, shameless plug right here. I know on the back of one of these, we have our Passion for Craft podcast. Check out our Passion for Craft podcast. Put a link in the description for that, where Brent goes into all of that, all the proportions and stuff.
When did you first find out you had a passion for craft, and what put you on this path to be where you are today? Like, go back to the earliest memory of like.
It's a good question. I remember.
It is when he asks it.
I remember when I was at North Bennett Street and I was looking at a molding. And I looked at the molding and it kind of stopped. And I said, that is so beautiful, right? That was the first, if you were going to say, when did Passion for Craft start? That's when it started, when I was at North Bennett Street.
Do you remember what molding it was?
Yeah, it was in a little OG molding. That was kind of the tail end or the front end of a casing. And so.
But this one is beaded casing with a wainscot cap actually as a back band. Just because this is labeled as a wainscot cap in the catalog, the Windsor catalog, doesn't mean you're stuck with using it as a wainscot cap. So this right here is actually the molding that we selected for our house. So this is gonna go here. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. One of the things that I love about using a wainscot cap, or a back band rather, is that how much thicker you get on the back side of your casing. You have the potential to run a wainscot into it. So if you have that big band there, you can bring something into it. If I ever wanted to run trim into it, it's just set up for future applications, and it just looks gorgeous. So this will go here, this will go everywhere. It'll go around this door over here. That is gonna look absolutely gorgeous when those go together. And it's gonna go on our French door that we're building as well. That's gonna look really good. So that's what we selected. Now, like I said, there are multiple choices. I'll show you what I did in the laundry room in here. It's been kind of a running joke that we're never gonna finish this laundry room, but we are so close to being done. I'm about 1 or 2 installs away from being done in here. You can see the glaring problem in here, which is this opening, but you can also see the glaring solution behind me. That window is done. So I just put my glass in. I glazed it, my first time glazing. Wasn't pretty. So that is essentially what we want to see right here. And I think it looks beautiful. Let me know if you guys have any questions. But I managed to make it work, and I learned a ton. Wood as a guide there, so I can come back across that and kind of compress that a little bit more. And then boom, that is professional glazing right there. That is exactly what we want to see. Nice crisp angle right there. It almost looks like a little piece of trim that's running on the inside of this. Got the brass hardware on there. I think it looks just absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna take out, the framing here, reframe, and we can pop this in. Then we will trim this out just like this header in here. Now this is another option of casing. You guys have been seeing me do this setup right here multiple times on job sites. I even did my Makita window out there in the garage the same exact way. What this is just 1x4, 1x2, 6, and the header cap, Windsor WOHC 001 if you want to look it up. But look at all the options you have for casing. You could do something like this, looks great in this room. Just real casual look, nothing too over the top. But as we go out into the living room, we have an opportunity to do something different. And as you can see from all the doors I've built, I like to do different things. 5-panel, crazy glass panel, I guess, and then the 2-panel over there. But from here on out, we're finding consistency. This is a bit of a laboratory, and I said that going into it. This is going to be an experiment where I try all this fun stuff. And I don't think I ever told you guys I redid these beams for the 3rd time. Those drove me crazy. I was never really satisfied with my vision there, so I said, you know what, I'm making box beams in ash, and that's what we did. So all this wood right here is ash, those are ash. We'll do a complete rundown of the end of this before and after with all the design choices after I get this in. Get this in, get it trimmed out, check this one off the list. So now that you see kind of the options that are available, and there's so much more, let's trim this door out. This is gonna be fun.
Plinth blocks are small.
What?
These, it almost looks, these are just, plinth blocks are just blocks? There's no design in it?
In there, they're just blocks. In here, there's gonna be a design in them.
Oh, really?
So what you see in there is not what you're gonna see out here. So in here, because our casing actually has some movement to it, it's gonna have to be, our block is gonna have to basically follow that. And there it's just a 1x, so I was able to get away with just using a piece of 1 inch. Yeah, I used a piece of 4/4, and then I just had it straight flush because it's following a straight flush 1x4. So hopefully all that makes sense. You're gonna see, but I'm gonna design the block based off of this right here.
Care if I do laundry?
Don't show them my Milwaukee underwear. So the first thing we're gonna do to design this plinth block is cut a small slice off our casing profile like this. Next thing we're gonna do is measure our casing width. Our overall width there, you can see, is 3.5. So I want an 1/8 of an inch reveal all the way around my plinth block. So I've cut this piece right here to be 3 3/4 because an 1/8 on each side of this 3.5 inch block adds a quarter. 3.5 plus a quarter gives us 3 3/4. So you can see I've got about an 1/8 there and an 1/8 on this side as well. So with my block in this position here, what I'm going to do is mark the outermost point of my profile up here. Just put a small mark there, and then just a mark somewhere in here. So those are my kind of parameters right there. Then I have an 1/8 of an inch reveal that I want around. So I'm just going to mark that off, 1/8 of an inch away from that, somewhere in there. Then I can take my square here and bring that line across and do the same thing to this one. So let's just take it all the way up to there. And then when I bring my profile back, you can see I'm an 1/8 of an inch away now on those 2 marks right there. So I need to follow that 1/8 of an inch away from here. So I'll mark there, and let me mark there as well. Do the same thing. We'll bring an 1/8 of an inch over, and an 1/8 of an inch over on this one as well. So I'll just use the straight edge here. Line those up. It's pretty close. And that should be my block that I want. So all this goes away, and this is what we keep. So we'll bring the block back over here and see how we did. Check for our proper reveals all the way around. And I would say we got it. Now that tells me I need to mill a board that is 3 3/4 by 1 7/8 inches. So here is a look at our finished plinth block. Really simple piece of molding. And we're gonna check it out with our profile. So I got another offcut right here. And we'll make sure we have 1/8 of an inch all the way around, which it appears that we do. Yep, hold it right there. 6.5 and 7 1/4 is what I'm considering. 6.5, 6.5 for sure. I just wanted to make sure before I cut these all down to 6.5 that I didn't want 7 1/4. I mean, I could make it again easily, but why? Why would I do that? So I'll cut these now to 6.5 and then prime them. So anytime I have just small things like this to prime, I always just prime them with a rattle can of primer, or sometimes I even just use white paint. Just makes it a lot easier whenever you go to finish the stuff, especially if you're brushing. Now this stuff I am not going to brush, I am going to spray it on and it's going to be a really nice finish, but still, since I am using all Windsor and it's a really good primer on that Windsor already, I don't have to prime it. Now, I know like fine finish painters are not going to agree with that, and I kind of do too, but here at my house, it's primed already. It's kind of ready to go, and I'm using Benjamin Moore Scuff X, really thick, very good coating paint. So that's kind of my mentality behind these, but just got them right here on this little bucket on the tailgate. Just gonna shoot them up real quick. And just fair warning, this Krylon primer kind of sucks, but it's all they had at the hardware store over here. I prefer the Rust-Oleum, to be honest. It's like a bunch of really thin lacquer. You can see I'm even getting some drips on that. Told you Rust-Oleum's better than this junk right here. It's horrible. All right, here's what we're looking like now with those coats on. Looks really sweet. Just a really classic plinth block. So I'll let these dry. We'll go check them out in place. It's gonna sound cliche because I heard it when I was a kid, but how do they have that much energy? Like, really don't get it. I think they suck it out of you, drain you to get it. There's something to it. And I just put our blocks in place and I think they look really good. And it kind of just dawned on me, there's no way I'm using 3/4 inch base with these blocks because that would be way too small. So with this in place, you know, I've got almost 2 inches at the backside here. So I'm definitely gonna get some 4/4 or 5/4 and probably just mill my own base. And it's gonna be a really simple profile, like a cove profile, copying what we did in the laundry room. I'll show you that here in a second. But there's our block, and then there's our profile. And it's gonna be kind of hard to line those up. I've got to beat some of this drywall in, actually screw it in. It's a little loose. I never screwed that in. I replaced this stud right here and just never screwed it in. But yeah, look at the lines on that. Got my 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and my base will just die straight into that at the same exact height. So let me ask you, what do you think of my blocks here?
I think you primered them because I can smell it. I'm sensitive to smell.
I can smell it too. I'll take them out. I just wanted to see them in place.
No, I think that's exactly what we need. When you were talking to me earlier about blocks, I was like thinking like block, like just a rectangle. And so I was thinking like, that's gonna be weird, like a big rectangle like this thick. Like,
Yeah.
That's not gonna look right. So I was like thinking like no blocks, but you're saying like we need blocks. So I didn't even consider something like this.
Yeah, a block, then that's the problem you have. If you don't make it custom or you cut it into it and follow the profile, you would have a giant block.
Which would look really bad.
I have seen that, and it does look really bad.
I would think so.
So it has to taper with it, just so it follows it, and it looks like it's meant to be.
Yeah, it does.
And it's going to catch the base. It adds a support for the casing, so it looks like the casing is sitting on a pedestal, kind of.
Imagine it without the blocks.
Well, I know
That
I
would be
don't
so
I don't
ugly.
like it. That's
Yeah,
a good
like
point.
how are you supposed to stop that?
No, that's a
You're
good
supposed
point.
to run like the baseboard like,
Well, the base. No.
and then you're gonna have a baseboard that's like this thick.
No, that's here.
casing?
No, you're not quite getting that look. But look, put it back to the floor again.
Look, that's what you can do. You can get some baseboard that's just that thick.
The base. No, you got it wrong. But put it like the casing again. Like if the casing went flat to the floor.
Like if you had some.
If you
baseboard that
didn't
was
have
like
the
that.
block, no, move the plinth block and put the casing flat to the
Oh.
floor. Yeah.
Like if you didn't have. the
Yeah.
block.
Okay. See, I don't like that.
And then you put the baseboard up against that, or what?
Yeah, the baseboard transition there is not a problem.
Yes, it is.
But-
Because it's going over.
But that's not
Oh,
a
I guess 'cause you
baseboard.
would have it there.
That's a giant plinth block.
Yeah.
So this right here, though, I just don't like the way that looks.
Okay.
I don't like all that detail right there following on the floor. And then I just don't like how it's just straight down. I made that mistake in the garage on my cross-headed corner
Did you really?
back bend. Yeah, there's no plinth block on it. Yeah.
Confessing his faults.
Well, no, I'm learning, and that's why I was like, next time I do something with the back band, I'm making a custom plinth block to catch it.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
That looks like it's supposed to be like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's almost like you know what you're doing.
Almost. I don't, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah, kind of.
So here's what I was talking about in the garage. I've got the beaded casing with another Windsor one wainscot cap, and this one I was playing around with the cross-headed corner detail, which I love, by the way. Don't think I want to do that throughout the whole house, but I'll definitely do that on the mantle. I think it looks great on mantles, and it looks great throughout the house, but I just don't want to elevate my doors that much. But I do wish I would have put a plinth block down here, and it's never too late. I could get an oscillating tool out and make a plinth block for that, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of that. I'm just going to leave it. It's in the garage, and who cares? It's just a reminder to make plinth blocks. Ain't that right, Chief? But yeah, I love the way the moldings kind of play with the light that comes in and all the depth that you see. So there's our plinth blocks. Next video, we will be running the trim for this door here, and it is going to make a huge difference.